We all want to win at life. We all want to be known by people as someone who is smart, capable, and successful. We all want to prove our naysayers wrong, to impress our friends and parents, and be admired by people in general. But oftentimes, because of this desire to impress people, we develop social phobias like performance anxiety. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm a music teacher and a content developer for Western Vocals. Today's video is about performance anxiety. I'm someone who's had to deal with performance anxiety a lot. I get nervous before any kind of performance, whether it's singing, acting, or just generally talking to a group of people. I want to share 7 tips with you that help me deal with this. Number 1, it's okay to get nervous. Notice I said deal with performance anxiety and not get rid of it or overcome it. This is because we can often beat ourselves up thinking that we shouldn't get nervous or anxious. This in turn makes you more nervous and anxious because you're trying to fight the feeling and it doesn't work. So we get anxious, then we get anxious about being anxious, and this creates a feedback loop. A feedback loop is a system where the outputs are fed back into the inputs, increasing or decreasing its effects. In this case, magnifying its effects. We shouldn't be trying to get less anxious or less nervous. Instead, all we need to do is relax and breathe. All we need is to understand what is happening to us. Because when you understand the situation, you gain perspective and then you are in control. Don't let your anxious feelings get control of you. Being anxious or nervous is not a sign of weakness. According to Mark Manson, when we get nervous, anxious, or even angry, we need to not ask ourselves, oh, what is wrong with me? Why am I feeling this way? Instead, we need to acknowledge the fact that we are feeling that way, but not give it too much attention. So we need to say, yes, I am feeling anxious right now, but who cares? Not caring about it helps you to not fixate on it. If you fixate on it, it becomes worse. So let it be there. Don't try to make it go away. Do what you have to do despite feeling that way. It's okay to be nervous. Number 2, get comfortable being uncomfortable. When you are used to being in uncomfortable situations, you do not lose control of yourself every time you're put in such situations. We have to develop an attitude in life where we don't expect everything to be pleasant. There are going to be moments in life which are awkward, embarrassing, and confrontational. That is out of our control. But what is in our control is what we tell ourselves about the situation. We can choose not to let those situations define us. If you embarrassed yourself big time in the recent past, it's up to you to decide whether you're going to let that moment define you or whether you're going to choose to believe that that's just a small bump in the road that is your life. According to Healthline.com, conflict avoidance is a type of people-pleasing behavior that typically arises from a deep-rooted fear of upsetting others. Being conflict avoidant jeopardizes your relationships with people because you are cutting off all forms of complete honest communication with them. Studies have shown that suppressing your emotion adversely impacts your mental health. We need to accept these uncomfortable feelings as part and parcel of life. So get comfortable being uncomfortable. 3. Avoid perfectionism. One of the things that gets us anxious or nervous is because we believe that what we say or do has to be perfect. One of the things I recommend for getting over this is to think of things as documenting your progress and not performances. If you had to perform somewhere or give a speech somewhere, it doesn't have to be the greatest thing ever. It just has to show where you're at in terms of skill at this particular moment in time. You will only go on to become better in the future. It is for you to learn things about yourself. What did you do well and what things can you improve? Mark Manson also suggests not over-identifying with our emotions. We need to remember that our emotions are simply there to guide us. It is a feedback mechanism that tells us whether something is likely good or bad for us, and nothing more. Fixating on your temporary feelings of anxiousness would be an over-investment in something that is fleeting. It's not even going to be there an hour from the moment you're experiencing it. So think of it as documenting your progress and not as a performance, and avoid perfectionism. 4. Set realistic expectations. Don't fixate too much on the expectations of others. They can often expect too much of you. Only you know what you're truly capable of. They might not know how badly anxiety affects you. Maybe for you, even getting up there and saying a few words was a big step. Set your own realistic expectations and rise to meet them. This is because setting a standard that is realistic will help us achieve a state of flow. Flow is a state of mind in which a person becomes completely immersed in an activity. This is where we want to be while performing. This is what's going to help us forget about the world around us and be completely immersed in what we're doing because the task is so engaging to us. Being in a state of flow is linked to better emotional regulation, greater intrinsic motivation, better focus, improved performance, and greater creativity. If you would like to know a little bit more about intrinsic motivation, you can watch my previous video. In order to achieve a state of flow, we need to have a clear goal in mind, and it needs to be challenging enough to command our attention, but not too hard. It shouldn't demand of us more than what we are capable of, but it should stretch us. It should demand our talents, resources, and cognitive efforts, but not more than what we have. Exercise self-compassion. Don't ask of yourself more than what you're capable of. Have realistic expectations. 5. Develop a growth mindset. Stay focused on the process and not on external things and rewards. Sometimes we can psych ourselves out by thinking of all the ways things can go wrong. But I just have to remind myself what I'm trying to achieve with this performance. It doesn't have to be great, and it certainly doesn't have to be better than anyone else's. You need to avoid getting into the comparative mindset. When you start comparing yourself to others, you stop focusing on your own work, your failures hurt even more, and you lose sight of the small victories in your life. You start to develop envy. Envy is clinically proven to disaffect your psychological resilience. This is one of the things that can lead you to becoming depressed eventually down the road. We need to learn how to celebrate people and their achievements. Don't fall into the trap of comparing yourself to them. Don't get into a comparative mindset. Instead, nurture a growth mindset. 6. Avoid focusing on things that are out of your control. Focus on the aspects of your performance that you can control. This would be like the content of your performance and how it's delivered. Don't be bummed out if the audience doesn't respond the way you want them to. There could be 100 reasons why people are not laughing at your joke. Maybe someone had a terrible day and they're just not in the mood for a laugh. It's also possible that what you said just wasn't funny. I'm not trying to sugarcoat things here. I'm just trying to highlight the fact that taking such things personally is a waste of mental energy. It's okay to think, man, I wish they understood my point or laughed at my joke. But if you're going to sit there the entire day, ruminate and regret it, then it's a waste of mental resources that you could be using for something more constructive. If it was a funny joke or a good point, but you didn't deliver it well, then practice your delivery. Maybe next time you can land the joke. If it was a funny joke or a good point and you delivered it well, but it was just a tough crowd, then there really is nothing you can do. Mark Manson makes a good point when he suggests that most of us are average at most things. Even if you're someone who's extremely talented and exceptional at one or a few things, you're most likely just ordinary and average in many other things. So don't burden yourself with the tyrannical idea of exceptionalism. Again, exercise some self-compassion, be kind to yourself, and be realistic. Don't focus on the things that are out of your control. Number 7, metrics. So in Mark Manson's book, there's this story about Dave Mustaine, who is a talented guitarist who was fired from the band Metallica. Now Metallica, as you know, is an extremely successful band. So he was fired without any warning or discussion, and he plotted to get revenge. So he wanted revenge by starting his own band, and he thought, yeah, if my band becomes as successful, then they'll regret firing me. So he started his own band, called it Megadeth, and this went on to become an extremely successful band. Personally, even I'm a fan of Megadeth. I used to listen to a lot of their music as a kid. Megadeth went on to sell 25 million copies worldwide and tour worldwide. And despite Dave Mustaine being considered as one of the most influential musicians in history, in a 2003 interview, he explained that he still considers himself a failure. This is because he compared himself at that time to Metallica, who had sold 180 million copies worldwide. So the metrics that we use to evaluate ourselves is very important. What you need to do is gather as much objective data about your performance as you can, because this will bring self-awareness and that in turn will guide you. This is a good way of figuring out what to do next or even how to feel about what we have done. Objective data could be like, I made more eye contact with the audience this time than I did last time. The audience is responding more this time than they did last time. The audience laughed more this time than they did last time. Objectively, Dave Mustaine had reached the status of legend and was insanely successful. But he could never see it that way because he always compared himself to the band Metallica. That's why it's good to know where you are in life and where you want to go. This will give us a general sense of purpose and direction in our lives as well. Along with objective data, opinions can also help. Don't hesitate to ask different kinds of people for opinions. Opinions can help so long as they're constructive criticism and it's not just blind hate. Opinions, however, are subjective and it's up to you to turn all this subjective data into something that's objective. In some situations, some people's opinions are more important than others. You need to know who to listen to. It's up to you to decide whose opinion to listen to, depending on the metrics that you're using to evaluate your performance and depending on the direction that you are headed in your life. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you found this video helpful and consider subscribing if you want more content like this. If you would like to know 7 ways you can sound more confident and clear while speaking, you can click here. See you there.